Trio.
Hello everyone, my name is Tony and I am part of the Ricoma content team here. I'm part of a team that brings you guys a lot of the tutorials, a lot of the Apparel Academies, and speaking of Apparel Academy, I got Henry Ma sitting right next to me. He's the CEO of Ricoma. And today we thought it would be a great idea to sit down and just have a conversation about the world of embroidery. Henry, can you tell us a little bit about the different concepts we're going to be talking about?
Sure, so we really wanted to kind of sit together and perhaps talk about kind of the industry of embroidery, what kind of people get into it, why is it a profitable business, and talk a little bit about kind of what has 2020 shown us and has evolved the embroidery industry and kind of some of the catalysts that we see or predictions that we have about the future.
All right guys, before we get started with our discussion today, if you enjoy content like this, we would really appreciate if you liked our video. Also, if you want to see future content like this and get notified, hit that subscribe button and the alert bell so you know exactly when we post more content like this. So today we're just going to talk a little bit about why embroidery is so popular in the market, especially in the US. How did it become so popular? What made it become so popular? So Henry, can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure, so I think there are a variety of factors, and embroidery has definitely evolved over all these years. I think one key factor is the cost of entry. It has become a lot more affordable and a lot more accessible for a lot of people to get into this business. Embroidery machines used to be hundreds of thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars. But because equipment has evolved, technology has evolved, all of that has become a lot more affordable, and that makes it more accessible to people. And also the financing options, such as the ones that we have here at Ricoma, 0% financing, it allows more people to get into the industry for a very low monthly payment. That's on the supply side of things. The equipment supply and the apparel supply, all of those have gone down in cost. But on the flip side, in demand, that has continuously have gone up. And so when demand is up for embroidery because of the higher perceived value, because it lasts longer, those things drive more demand for the product, and therefore more vendors are wanting to get into the industry to have a piece of the pie.
So having more people with embroidery machines able to provide that service for the community, that's kind of brought things onto more of a local level, would you say?
Yes, so that's a huge kind of trend that we've been seeing, in that embroidery has become more localized. And a lot of small businesses are popping up, whether it's in local communities or local towns, that are specialized in providing a particular service with embroidery or apparel decoration in general to that community. And we've seen that because of the demand keeps on growing, the pie is growing as well, not just for embroidery, but overall in apparel decoration and apparel customization, whether it's embroidery, screen printing, heat transfer, directed garment printing, a lot of these different methods. More and more people have gone into a variety of them to bring them under one roof, so they can become the one-stop shop for their community or for their customers.
People in the community, we're talking restaurant owners, we're talking sports teams, local sports teams, high schools, grade schools, other businesses that are needing custom apparel, whether it's caps, shirts.
Yeah.
There's
I think the demand for apparel really never goes away. We have a saying here at Ricoma that as long as people wear clothes, we're in business, and really that's going to be the case. I think there's always going to be a need for businesses. It's a very affordable way to showcase your brand, right? When you go to a trade show or when you go to a networking event, if you can wear your apparel and demonstrate your brand and your logo, it's free advertising.
And as far as social media and stuff like that, it's important for since it's become more localized, the business has become more localized, that has something to do with, 2020, 2021. It's like the explosion of digital media and how how are people going to find you unless you have some sort of presence on social media, whether it's Facebook, right, Instagram, where do you see, what is the importance that you see in social media, and how do you see that growing in the future?
Sure, 2020, as I mentioned before, is kind of just acted as a catalyst to really drive everything forward and kind of push everything up in terms of the timeline. And for those that haven't shifted to kind of an online presence, they really felt the impact in 2020, right? Because those that had an online presence, they were still getting orders. They didn't need a physical space. They were still getting orders, whether it's on these platforms like Etsy or Garmio, to kind of just having their own website and doing social media advertising, making social posts and driving referral or word of mouth that way. I always believe that embroidery is very visual. So the perfect platforms for these are like Instagram and TikTok and Facebook, and these visual platforms that is able to showcase your work, and people naturally will be able to find you and be intrigued by the type of work that you do, and then ask, like, hey, oh, how did you do that on a hat? And then you can kind of have a follow-up conversation with that person and kind of describe your services, and that will slowly spread. So people that had an online presence in 2020 has really capitalized on that and has really been shielded from the overall economy shifting, but still be able to capitalize on the digital trend and still be able to, whether it's doing digitizing for customers, they can still do that without having a physical space, without seeing the customer face to face. So honing your different aspects of kind of your overall skills in the custom apparel world can really kind of shield you from these downturns. And that's why I believe embroidery is really recession proof. And we kind of saw that in 2020.
I don't know, but I'm putting myself in kind of a potential person who's going to invest, into this business.
Yeah.
One of the things that I'm, concerned about is mastering the business. Mm-hmm. How do I improve myself? How do I get to a certain level?
The whole philosophy that we have here at Ricoma is to minimize that learning curve and that process as much as possible, right? To a certain extent, and that's why we provide the 7 days and after hour support. We provide the hands-on training. You can come to our academy here. You can train online. We have a whole suite of pre-training videos in the customer portal, etc. All of these things is the ecosystem that we provide to our customers to minimize that learning curve as much as possible. As I always say, embroidery is not plug and play, but it's also not rocket science. You don't need to go to school for 8 years to get a PhD and learn this, right? So it is definitely doable, and I think with the resources that we provide here at Ricoma, we're able to kind of help customers climb that learning curve much faster. And we have a lot of customers that are kind of living testaments to that, because they have no prior embroidery experience and can pick up kind of taking orders and be able to scale their business within 3 to 6 months. We've seen on average probably the 3-month period is when people really start to get into a groove, considering they have no prior embroidery experience. Really, we've seen the entire spectrum, and we've kind of crafted a curriculum and resources to be able to help all aspects of or all different types of people on that spectrum to be able to get them to succeed in their business.
Yeah, because it's not only important to get the basics down, jumping on a video call with one of the trainers here at Ricoma,
Yeah.
and have that sort of connection. Like 20 years ago, that would have been impossible.
Right, exactly.
So jumping on a video call, and then also like growing your skills, like learning different techniques, where there's 3D puff, mixed media,
Yeah.
printing, DTG, all that kind of all these different types of media just to make yourself a little bit better. We cover that on Embroidery Hub. We cover
Right.
it in Apparel Academy. And also ECAM, Embroidery Custom Apparel Mastery, where you can just jump on there and ask questions and post photos of maybe a problem you're having, like mastering a specific technique and getting feedback not only from Ricoma,
us, but also from
from fellow embroiderers. So
Correct.
really, it's like, so not only like kind of what Ricoma's done, it's not just a manufacturing company. It's more of like a community and
Right.
building a community.
We are a solutions focused company, right? Like, we want to provide all the different types of solutions for our customers to be able to kind of succeed in their business. So whether that's communities that we provide with Facebook groups, or video tutorials on our YouTube channel, or podcasts like these and conversations like these to kind of get people kind of thinking about this industry and how to think about this industry, how to approach it. All of these are resources that we provide to be able to help our customers kind of along their embroidery or custom apparel journey.
Is there another type of person that's embroidery is good for? Like, would you say it's a creative profession? Are there people out there that are looking for like, hey, I just want a hobby. Like, I'm retired. I just want a hobby. Like, are those people too?
Yeah, no, and we've seen that as well, and we have specific product lines that are kind of geared towards that, right? There are people that just they just enjoy the craft, right? Maybe they do some Christmas presents for friends and family, right? They embroider some stockings or some gifts. So embroidery is really kind of, it's applicable to a lot of different industries and to a lot of a wide audience. Whether you want to do this as a business, whether it's a full-time or a side hustle, whether you're doing this as just a hobby and I just love creating. It's also, we've seen that as well. People just love creating. But one thing I would say is those that have just kind of focused on creating, when they realize that, hey, I can also make some income with it, they realize like, why don't I do that as well, right? So we've seen those as well where they started out as just a hobby, but then realize, oh, my friends and family are asking for this. Now my neighbor or their friends are asking for this, and just from word of mouth, I'm getting all these orders. I can turn that into just a side income as well.
That's so cool. That's so cool. So Henry, this has been a great conversation. The world of embroidery is so fascinating. The opportunities, economically, creatively, all these new people that are entering the industry. So it's pretty much accessible to anyone. Anyone who wants to start a business, embroidery is an option that is, something to think about. If you want to hear more about, Henry's business advice, all that kind of stuff, and how it affects embroiderers, how it affects, anybody really, go to our YouTube channel, search Ricoma on our YouTube channel, and go to Apparel Academy. We also have a ton of other tutorials on there, whether it's Embroidery Hub, where we're talking in detail about digitizing, talking in detail about embroidering different styles of embroidery, whether it's printing, media, 3D puff, anything you want to talk about, go to our Facebook group, Embroidery and Custom Apparel Mastery. That's where our community is, where you are free to answer pretty much any question you have about embroidery, whether it's business or craft, technical details. And our community is really helpful there. They answer your questions, they have conversations. Feel free to get active into that group. What did I miss, Henry?
Yeah, and I think you guys also picked out from your last episode with Willie some of the embroidery critiques from the group, right? So we were really able to kind of look at people that were showcasing their work and give our view or our feedback to that work. So it's a great community, it's super active. If you ever want to check out that particular episode on that embroidery critique, we put it in the card above and in the link below.
That's right. And also Instagram, follow us there. We got a ton of cool content getting posted there. Also TikTok, we're on TikTok. We got some entertaining stuff on there for you too. So Henry, we're gonna do this a couple more times where we're gonna just sit down, have a little talk about what's going on in the world of embroidery. So stay tuned. Next time we're gonna be, we'll be back here having another conversation. So thank you guys for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you, Tony. It was a great conversation, and looking forward to part 2 and 3.
Yeah. See ya.